So let's move to white oil.
Mm. What is that, sir?
I think white yes,
I'm just
white
kidding.
oil is interesting. No, but I mean, the race is on to find a steady source of lithium, a key component in rechargeable electric car batteries. The European Union focuses on emissions right now, and the lithium gold rush threatens the environmental damage on an industrial scale. Lithium is a key active material in the rechargeable batteries that run electric cars, as well as being on the cases of your phone. It's the lightest metal there is, so lithium is right now one of the most valuable minerals that's out there. It is found in rock and clay deposits as a solid mineral, as well as dissolved in brine, as you can see on there on the screen. So it's so. Oh, I wish we could play the whole segment that PBS has out, and I'll make sure to attach it at the end of the for the clip. But in this PBS article, it's pretty long. If you look back, go back one.
This one or the
So if
other
you even
article? This one?
breathe,
This one or
yeah, no,
this
no,
one?
you
This one?
you just had it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That one, yeah. If you even breathe on that, you can't use it. That's how
Wow.
sensitive that material is. So
Wow.
they do a good job. So that's why it's a really long PBS thing. So I'll make sure to attach that at the end for everybody to watch. Um, lithium. Sorry, I was going to say the urgency is getting lithium. A lithium supply has unleashed a mining boom, and the race for white oil threatens to cause damage to the natural environment. But because they're helping to drive down emissions, the mining companies have EU environmental policies on their side right now. So basically, they're saying, hey, the EU needs that lithium from you guys. We're going to allow another mining boom. It doesn't matter if you're going to destroy the planet. You want to throw to the next video?
Are you with this one? This is the one you want, or the
No,
the
the
one
next
that's
one.
hold on a
Should have
second.
the number. I had the
Let's
number. Oh, I lost it. That's fine.
let me see what I have.
VC1.
PC1, gotcha.
Yeah, number one. Yeah.
Wasn't sure if you wanted the other thing.
We're standing on some lithium now, right?
It's there. You just can't really tell it on the surface. It's just a lot of red clay and dirt.
It's not gold in them thar hills, but Lamont Leatherman is convinced it's as good as it. We're in the Piedmont region of North Carolina, between Charlotte and the Appalachian Mountains. It was February 2020, before the shutdown and the COVID precautions. Leatherman was laying the underground work for a lithium mine.
This is the spodumene, this greenish gray mineral here.
Spodumene. The mineral is an important source of lithium, the lightest metal on Earth. It's all over the place here, and Leatherman's company, Piedmont Lithium, has the cores to prove it.
There's a real nice crystal. You can see it's quite coarse.
The crystals in these cores are powering a revolution in electrification that began in 1991 when Sony rolled out the first consumer product powered by lithium-ion batteries, a camcorder. It's easy to forget what life was like before these light, energy-dense batteries existed. Albemarle headquarters sits near the site of one of the earliest lithium mines, Kings Mountain, only 10 miles from where we met Lamont Leatherman. The quarry is closed. Albemarle now mines lithium rock in Australia and separates it from salty water in giant evaporation ponds in Nevada and Chile. Mining lithium at the old quarry is more expensive, but
So there you go. Even more expensive, just because it always will fall to that corporate need. And I was gonna say there's one weird positive. We're not mining in Africa this time.
You know what's
That's
crazy?
it. I mean, it's bad.
What's crazy is like, okay, fine, they're not a lot. They don't want to have like oil based vehicles or whatever, you know, like fossil fuel vehicles or whatever it is, which you know pollutes the air and also damages the ground. So they're like, all right, we'll just damage the ground or whatever, and still put like toxic stuff and have dangerous environments, and you know, so some of it is beneficial, but you know the rest of it is you know, still like they don't talk about the negatives about it. You know, it's I don't know. How do you feel about it? Would you rather have lithium than fossil fuels, or like how do you feel about the whole
Yes, the net emissions change is huge, but it means that we need to do that. We quote unquote have to allow more mining, which is not my. I would not be for that. It's just that it's going to happen. Like I don't see it changing. Like me not buying a phone is not going to stop them from mining for lithium right now. That's why it's white oil. You know, it's literally, you know, black tar oil was just so eh, profitable that, you know, we think of it as the one of those profit
Yep.
raining kind of materials. I don't know. I'm just glad. I was going to say that it's important that more than 55% of global lithium production last year originated in just one country, Australia. Other principal suppliers such as Chile, China, and Argentina are equally far flung. So that's why they were doing all of that refining in Nevada, but that must use a ton of water. So that's a problem. You know, when you're refining something like that, you end up using a ton of water or a ton of another mineral to get your needs. And it is what it is. We're not gonna you know, we have phones, we all have phones, we all have devices. Most of our screens even have lithium in them. So
they don't incentivize people holding things longer either. You know that every
yes.
like couple of months there's a new phone, or which is crazy. You know, and it's funny, they'll say they'll recycle stuff and they don't. A lot of times they're like, oh, you know, trade this in and blah 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 blah, and then you'll find out later that they just disposed of it, or they just took like a little something out of it. They don't really, at the end of the day, like strip the boards of their components. They don't strip the batteries, and some, I guess in some cases they do, but not as often as people think they do, and so that still pollutes the world. So they just happen to last longer than, you know, burning constant oil and gasoline and everything, which is, you know, I guess more, you know, more of a detrimental to the environment at the end of the day. But you know, it's pretty crazy, man. I'm the crazy man, crazy.
Uh,
You're saying? What's up?
so we should go to the second video because that talks directly to what you were talking about. It goes directly to the fact that we have to be able to recycle these batteries in some fashion. They're not batteries, recycle the lithium itself.
Lithium, yeah.
Or yeah.
Here we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
But will there be enough lithium to fuel a new electrified era?
So if you ask the question, is there enough lithium in the world for 50% of the cars in the world to become electric? The answer is, maybe surprisingly, no. There isn't, unless you recycle.
Unlike lead-acid batteries, there is no practical way to recycle those made of lithium. Here at Argonne, they are working on that problem as well. As demand for electric vehicles rises, so will the need for a recycling solution.
So there we go. That's the big, and by the way, thank you to PBS. That was a great segment, and I'm going to make sure to include that below. That's the problem. You cannot easily recycle this material, and we use it now so extensively that we need to figure out how we can change that. There's no other way to survive. Like it's just another limited resource at that point.
Yep. I was watching a show about like the right to repair, and he talks about a lot of what we just finished saying. Like, you know, like they don't want people to repair this stuff, you know, like the mom and pop stuff, you know, stores or whatever it is. So what happens to all that material? It's like they just let it go to waste, and you know, this is, you know, yet another example of it. If it, you know, if it's not electrical components, it's you know, like batteries and stuff. So it's crazy, man. Like a lot of people, unless you're like really in the loop of things, you don't really know that this is happening. You think, oh, this is great. Same thing with plastics and everything else. They think that, you know, if we just recycle, it's going to be great. But at the end of the day, like, I think there's like a certain limit of how many times you can recycle something. And like, there's a lot of things that they don't talk about and yet people just keep consuming. You know, they just keep buying things, and you know, and these phones could last for many, many years. But then you got the people making the phone saying, well, like for instance, Apple, they're like they design these things so that later on when they start putting in new chips and whatever else, the other stuff can't run anymore. They'll do something in the BIOS. Microsoft doesn't do it, but with Apple, they do something with the BIOS that when you have a new device, well, if you have an old device, let's say they upgrade it to Catalina or whatever the newest Big Sur or whatever they call it, the older devices won't work because when you put the OS in. I think we've talked about this at one point. I don't know if I spoke to you about this, but I think we did on another episode. What'll end up happening is it'll update the BIOS and it'll make the software aware whether or not the hardware is old, and then it won't work. Like I have a Mac downstairs that it works, but it doesn't update. So because it doesn't update, I can't add the newer software and the newer updates for those softwares and so on and so forth. So basically it's a brick right now. You know, there's only certain things I could do, like go on the internet and, you know, word processing and stuff. But if I wanted to like get something for video editing or whatever, I got to use whatever I have there, and I can't update it anymore. I'm stuck with whatever old technology it is. And I'm forced to upgrade, and then when I have to get rid of it, what happens to that material? They're not going to fully recycle every component that's in there, right? So that's waste, you know. It's crazy.
I mean, there's a lot of waste when it comes to computers. I know there's significant stuff like that. I still have items in my room that probably have lithium in them that I have no way to go and actually go recycle that technology and material, because you'd probably have to go strip out the whole thing, and that's more money. It has to deal with like hiring people then to strip materials and to have that technology. And so that's like a large topic. Like we should talk more about recycling and usefulness and how to do it in the future, because we need to think about composting and recycling as a people, and not just as individual households can kind of do it, but we don't live in a society that makes it potentially easy for you to just do that. If you're in an apartment building, you know, you're in a random area that doesn't have all of the facilities that you need, or you don't have a car, you know, you have technology that you need to throw away, you end up just dumping it because you're not near a center that could take all your technology and recycle it, or materials like cloth materials that could be used somewhere else, and that just ends up in the dumpster. And that's well, we should have a long topic about recycling. And even
sometime. You should also recycling and manufacturing go hand in hand when it comes to waste. They talk about when you make jeans and other things, there's so much waste after producing that stuff. I was also going to say we should also talk, and when we do talk about recycling, and maybe even a little bit about how they manufacture some of this stuff, we should talk about how they exploit other countries. So like how you were saying about how they strip some of the materials apart. They'll send stuff on not barges, but ships to different countries so they could strip the lithium and certain things off of it. Not the lithium, but like, you know, other materials.
Nickel, actually. I was going to say that was a big change. Nickel, that's why it's not Africa anymore right now, because there's there's no lithium, it seems, on the African continent that you found. But there's tons of nickel, which we still use nickel. I know I use a lot of NIMH batteries. So nickel's in a lot of stuff too.
Yeah. I saw a video where they were like doing all this crazy stuff and stripping batteries apart and doing like, you know, crazy stuff to it, you know. And I looked at it, I'm like, these people are gonna have cancer at the end of the day, the way they were like stripping things apart and melting things down and doing. I was like, wow, like I gotta find that article, but it was sad because everybody looked like they were poor, and they looked like they didn't have the proper means of actually not destroying, but like recycling and fixing the stuff or whatever it is.